and they've done a really good job, actually. Every member of their team has went back and shopped individually while the others held that turret. The fact they hadn't lost it yet is a testament to how well they're turtling here. They're just trying to get powered up before the next team fight. They're making sure their lanes are split pushing. They may just lose the tower here because Nocturne show top, or will CLG.EU be too scared of the Nocturne ult? Because an initiation could very well come out of WE here.
He's off the side. He was waiting for Nocturne, waiting for ClearLove to come back there. Very much aware of the fact that he could be coming at the side and start initiating something there. So they all backed away from that one. Despite the fact the wave was there. The tower down to next to nothing here. Snoopy coming around. The Wraith being picked up. Wards being used all over the map. Very much a poke game. And they're just waiting for one team to make that small mistake.
It's still only a 4,000 gold advantage despite the 8 kill advantage. And here comes the team fight.
They're going straight in. There's the Vladimir ultimate. They managed to catch it across two members. Yellow Pete still though managed to avoid the damage. Froggen very low. And I think CLG should be able to avoid the damage off the back of this one. You can see Crepo going to keep the speed up. There's the acceleration gate. They're going to try and push them right back in towards the turret. Are they going to follow it through? Wicked's going to try and beat them back. And I think, just like we saw Team WE, they're going to get taken one by one. Wicked's got to be very careful. You saw ClearLove and FZZF just up to the side there, trying to pick through. That's where we saw some crazy Blizzard hooks earlier on.
So now they're trying to poke back down. Even in the previous game when team fights were even, W would always try to push off the back of them. Now CLG.EU all having to go to shop. WE has a giant wave pushing in the bottom. They need to clear that out, otherwise they're going to take a tower. Someone's going to have to go back and finish that. That's going to give CLG some breathing room to try to get back here, and the stalling is working out very well. They're scouting the Baron buff here. This is really just CLG's classic stall. Yeah,
Wicked getting an attack on the Baron, causing FZZF to take the damage. That bottom lane wave has been dealt with. And we saw stealing away the blue buff as well on your screens. 30 minutes gone in this game, and it is a 5,000 gold difference. Team WE already 1-0 up, looking like they are strong favourites to make it into the semi-finals versus Azubu Frost, but do not rule CLG.EU out. Rule them out at your peril. Moscow 5 did it once, and they were on the back end of a hiding. And honestly, as it is, Team WE, they have the power, but they are just getting poked and driven back by CLG.EU constantly here. They've got to be careful they don't get caught out, like something like Weizhou right now, just taunting, flirting with Snoopy, saying, come on, hook me.
And now they're poking down the mid lane again. We saw in the last fight, WE tried to full-on engage, and CLG could completely disengage. So right now, that's a good spot for CLG to be in. The fact that if they don't want to fight, they've proven they don't have to. They have enough disengagement, and WE doesn't have strong enough stick. So really, they get to pick their fights, even though they're behind a bit. The main force here for WE in that situation would have to be a Baron. You need to make CLG come to them. It's just with their lead being so minor here, only about 5,000 gold. Is that enough? Is it worthwhile to put yourself in the back of Barons? And they're taking that mid tower, closing it even closer.
Oh, Team WE were nowhere near reacting to that one. So we're all square in towers, 4-4. And that's Weizhou picking up the second blue buff. So he's taking them all. That's good, somewhat greedy, some might feel, but he's definitely going to have that one. The split push, of course, down the bottom, you can see Chow Mei. The Dragon will be available any second, but Chow Mei just driving it home, continuing to push on. There comes Wicked to try and head him off. Just stop things. Which may mean they'll force something elsewhere. And wow, look at Wicked, you get the exchange coming out there. There is a huge creep wave though that Wicked would be able to farm off the back of. Froggen having to use that wall of pain to keep them at bay from Yellow Pete. And it's looking like a two-man Baron.
They're trying to do it here. They have FZZF, and Weizhou doesn't have a whole bunch of damage because of his very defensive build, but CLG.EU is trying to scout. It looks like Snoopy's going to pop over with the ward, and this might not work out for them.
But he has put the ward down. Are they going to risk it? No. It's definitely a wise choice to back away from that one. But meanwhile, Wicked and Weizhou and Chow Mei, it's very much an even exchange now. You see the damage that he managed to put down on him. But again, Shen, he needs to keep him occupied. This is what you talked about. He needs to keep him busy, keep him fighting. That way he can't use his ultimate to come across. He can't get in there, and that's what prevented them. Instead, they're just going to pick up the Dragon as a booty prize.
They have the pressure here, and that was a pretty good duel actually by Wicked. Shen's build has not quite progressed. Wicked's very squishy. The fact that he's not getting beaten by Shen anymore is a good sign for CLG. When he was getting 1v1'd earlier, that would be the end of it, because if you need to send 2 members for Shen, that pretty much just ends the game for you. Weizhou needs to get that last Whisper finished. He's went with an immensely defensive build thus far, and that might be hurting them slightly in these fights. Since CLG is all about disengaging and isn't actually fighting back, WE needs the all-out damage. If they want to create something to happen, they have to start getting aggressive with their item choices and with their play, because the longer this goes, I think the more comfortable CLG.EU becomes.
We're seeing a potential combo coming out. Black could definitely go for he's got the Rabadon's Death Cap, he's going to go for the Azonia's Hourglass as well. See that other Nard Rod in there. 282 CS to 297, so nearly 300 CS already for Frog, and we are a long way into it compared to the last game though. They are collapsing in for that top turret. They do not want to allow another turret to go down. And actually, that's a bit more farm for Wicked there, 9,000. But you can see it's a 1,000 gold difference to Shen. Looking at Froggen versus, well, Froggen's actually very much even in terms of gold, but still, that huge gold difference is very much Wei Xiao versus Yellow Beat.
And that all that gold difference, oh, as we see an initiation attempted on Messiah, he's going to disengage. That gold difference is all in the Aegis of the Legion. So damage perspective-wise, if they can keep Yellow Pete safe, he's got actually a little bit more damage than Wei Xiao right now. It's just Wei Xiao's much, much harder to kill.
Well, they know that Wei Xiao is off the difference there. Are they going to try and choose that advantage? He did show himself. The ping's going down from... I think Team WE wanted to continue pushing that. I think they wanted Wei Xiao to stay there. Instead, Shen's going to go across. They can keep that split push. Of course, if CLG were to try and force something at the Baron, he could easily just ultimate across and join the fight. As it is, Tariq got to be very careful. He wants to get in and put some wards down. But CLG kind of in that back and forth position. They're not quite sure where they should go right now.
And WE, in my opinion, is also not quite sure where they want to go right now, because they have not been able to force fights on CLG. And this is honestly starting to get a little reminiscent of the M5 versus CLG.EU game at DreamHack, just because they've only had one kill the entire game, but they're still in it and they're still stalling. And it's just a matter of WE has tried a few things to create action, and it just hasn't really worked. And they haven't committed fully to any of these things. They're waiting so long that by the time they actually fully commit, it could be the end of the game for them if they lose the fight. If I was them, I would try to get a little bit more aggressive right now, because if something fails now, you might have time to come back from it, since the death timers aren't 70 seconds long yet. However, they keep waiting. They're hoping CLG.EU makes a mistake. But CLG.EU is one of the best stalling teams in the land. It's going to be very difficult for them.
So a Deathfire Grasp has just been picked up by Froggen on Karthus.
Deathfire Grasp is one of his favorite items, and this is just, if they try to initiate in on them, if Nocturne jumps on him, DFG's hitting him right away. And with how much ability power that is, he's going to be 40% of Nocturne's health almost straight away. That's a great item for Froggen's Karthus. He's going to be getting more magic penetration later, but that is not surprising. Really good build so far by Karthus, just powering up.
Wei Xiao on that top lane. He's got to be careful he doesn't get caught out. You can see that Snoopy heading up that way. Just going to clear the wave out. CLG doing a great job, but just like you said, just continuing just to hold, stall, farm out. And honestly, now we are looking at a massive late game. It's definitely getting to that stage again. Baron gets targeted there, and then ZZF gets attacked. The Ezreal two-shot barrage there going across the other beat, not doing a great deal of damage off that one. Obviously, the big difference is he did go for that tanky.
Oh, Nocturne up top!
Nocturne up top, they're going to dive towards Wicked. Wicked manages to knock him away. He has got the Ignite on, but that's going to be the turret damage going down there. He's got no support just yet. They are also triggering on Baron. Baron is going down as well, so Wicked is trying to keep them away from this inhibitor turret. Now we can look over Baron, please. You can see that CLG is starting to go in there. There's a Crescendo going across. That's going to be the Vladimir ultimate. Meanwhile, Wicked and Karthus is trying to force them away. That's going to be Froggen picking up the kill on Chow Mei. The ultimate's coming across. Is it going to help Snoopy out? He's going to get the double kill off the back of it. He's taken down Nocturne. FCZF has managed to survive though, and Yellow Pete backs away from that one. Very much a close exchange, but it was a 1 for 2, and CLG coming out on top for the first time in that one. Very crazy fight.
You could see what WE's plan was there, was to distract everyone up top and then sneak the Baron, but CLG had the perfect counter for it. They stopped the Shen teleport as well as the Shen push bottom. That was an amazingly quick reaction by CLG, and they held off that ploy by WE. WE now going to be really struggling to find what to do next, because that's the second time they've tried to force something very hard, and neither of them have been successful. That one actually backfired a little bit.
And the tanking is starting to get building towards the frozen mallet there for Wicked. So Wicked now with the damage and the tank. We're going to have a replay coming up with this one. Take us through it, Jack.
And here's the huge thing. Wicked waiting and waiting for Froggen to come in. The Baron's going on. They try to teleport in, but he knocks him back. And because he was looking at the other fight when he teleported in, because he was trying to get there, Wicked did a great job holding his knockback. The double kill then came out from Karthus. So Shen tried to be a global presence. Froggen was a global presence, and that's why CLG came out in that fight.
A couple of items being completed. Zonya's Hourglass for Messiah. We knew that one's being built. Force of Nature by Chow Mei, though. Infinity Edge also being picked up by Yellow Pete. And again, the Baron poke comes out there, and they just force it away. Crepo doing a grand job of keeping them at bay.
Seems like WE does not want to try a full-on engagement at Baron. That's why they keep trying to sneak it with a couple people. They don't want to fight.
Crepo continuing to just aggress. Every time FZZF, he goes in to try and take that Baron, he's just poking. Here he comes again. He's just going to queue on towards the Baron. I don't think he's going to be able to do it this time. Very cautious. He didn't get caught out by Wei Xiao. And the poke back and forward continues. So, late game. We're getting there. We are there. Who would you give it to in terms of a team fight right now?
The fact that CLG has stalled this long and they have the Karthus Sona, very good synergy. I do think CLG might actually have pulled ahead here just based on how long they've waited. And it shows in the play that WE has been trying to pull off. They're trying to split CLG up. They've had an opportunity, if they've wanted it, to put 5 men on Baron and then peel when CLG comes to stop them. But they haven't done that in the past 20 minutes, so there's no real reason for them to do it now. Really, it's so much patience by CLG and just know-how that WE can't force anything strong on them here. When Nocturne jumps in on these fights, he's going to get obliterated almost immediately. The DFG is going to come down and hit him. Corki now has more damage than Wei Xiao because he has not went for a defensive build. And if they can't directly jump on Yellow Pete, that tank build of Wei Xiao isn't going to come into any use.
Dragon being picked up by Team WE, and it's a 7k gold difference currently. Towers dead even. 4v4. And they're going to try and catch on there. Throwing pressure down. Wall of Pain's on Messiah. Messiah getting shredded. The Vlad, I don't think he's going to catch away. Froggen gets the kill though. Can they turn this into something? Yellow Pete to Valkyrie away there. Just about getting caught out, but CLG now going to try and push the advantage on. And the crowd definitely turning in favour. They're going to try to pick up the Baron off the back of this one. I'm not too sure it's a great thing to go for though.
They've waited so long. They have not made any moves. This is their move. They got the pick onto Vladimir. They may as well just try this. Shen's trying to split push. They're going to force him to come in. They are going for this. Or they're going to peel. With behind the side.
They're going to peel. Froggen looks like he wants to catch it. He's caught the Wall of Pain. He's going to go for FCZ. FCZ's going to get dropped down. Clear up. Meanwhile, there's the Shadow Ultimate. He comes in. Wei Xiao still off to the side, giving the damage. That's the Hawk from Sumi. Clear up goes down. Double kill again for Froggen. Now they can turn to Baron in safety and surely pick it up.
They're still potentially going to try to stall, but that was an amazing peel. They got the carb swell down. They have the initiation. WE clearly does not because they are not fighting on their own terms here. CLG trying to get it. Ezra's going to try to come in and steal with his ultimate, but that is not even going to be close. That was for Harass. Here comes CLG.EU now. The stall has happened 40 minutes into the game. They've gotten 5 of the last 6 kills. They're in control.
Yellow Pete's going aggressive there. He wants to catch out Wei Xiao. I'm not too sure if Wei Xiao is actually sticking around, you know. He wants to still get aggressive on this one. Look at the damage he's still trying to put out to them. Not too sure that's the wisest thing in a 2-on-1 situation, but they do manage to harass. They've taken the inhibitor turret there. Very nicely done by Chow Mei. Picking up off the back of that one. There's a flash comes out. That's a cleanse. I think that was a quick silver slash actually from Wei Xiao there, but Snoopy might be able to hook onto him. Instead, they spot in the middle, Messiah coming round. Messiah's trying to close in. Yellow Pete, he's had the ultimate down on Messiah. How much damage will that tick up? Oh, that chunked him down, but it was not to be. They pulled off at the right moment.
Now the counter-aggression is potentially on. It seems like WE is a bit lost, though. Their disorganization in these last few bits have cost them. They're now trying to regroup. They need to keep their composure. That delay may have put them a bit on tilt. They haven't been able to finish this here. They get another turret, so the gold advantage is still in their favor, but CLG has the Baron buff. They are still up inhibitors. Having that inhibitor open does give WE some access to the base, but they lose team fights at this point. This has been shown, so CLG actually in control despite the positioning on the map.
Yeah, and we often say that Baron is worth around about 8,000 gold, which actually in terms of this at the moment, if they were to force a fight, would definitely give them the advantage. But Team WE really driving home a bit of a lapsadaisicalness from CLG. So, you know, the big advantage they picked up off of the back of that. Team WE have responded and picked up 3 turrets after the Baron was taken.
It really seems like CLG was low on health and mana and wanted to buy, and WE had all respawned right after the Baron takeoff. Now they're pushing up mid, WE trying to get back. And this is such a great position for CLG to be in because WE can't necessarily engage the crescendo. Such a good stop. They have the acceleration gate from Jace. They have the slowing wall from Froggen. Complete control. They will fight on CLG's terms. If they want to poke the tower, they will. If WE wants to fight, they can't.
They need to try and get in there early. Now Team WE though have responded, and the poke again from CLG should be strong. We saw it earlier on when they took that middle and inner turret, and you can see the poke going back. FZZ taken completely down there. Weezhou, though, the tankiness showing through there. You can see he's just going to life-steal it back. All that damage that goes out. We saw how strong Messiah's ultimate was when he caught onto towards Yellow Pete. Yellow Pete's got to be very, very careful. He doesn't get caught out by that this time. Has got no magic resist at all, so anything from Messiah would definitely be very painful for Yellow Pete.
The thing with Froggen here is all of CLG kills are concentrated on him. He is close to maxed out on items. If there's a big fight here, he's going to be the one dying, and they would actually have to be fairly careful. The steal coming through by Weezhou. Very nice ultimate.
Very, very nice stuff from Weezhou. We've seen a few of those this tournament as well. It's definitely a move that a lot of players have been making use of. Oh, CLG going to continue pushing here with Team WE a little bit out of position. Are they going to collapse around them? I'm not too sure. Team WE has been known to collapse on opponents before and make it work. And instead, we're seeing Wicked using the acceleration, poking out. And I think Team WE are going to be able to respond and close back in. There is a creep wave on the bottom pushing in for CLG. So they're going to have that available to switch to in a few moments if they don't quite get the poke on this turret that they want. Yellow Pete, you can see, just putting a couple of those rockets out, trying to keep poking, but Weezhou is too tanky and the lifesteal's coming out too strong. Wall of Pain not going to be able to do a great deal. They are going to drop the creep waves, but honestly, Team WE are reacting very quickly. Expect them to rotate down to that bottom lane for that big creep wave.
And WE really needs to trick CLG into fighting in a bad spot because they've been in this situation for so long. They've not been able to initiate anything. CLG's experience really coming in huge here. Most teams, when you're down 1-0 in a tournament and then 9 kills to 1 in the next game, you would give up. But CLG.EU was in complete control, and now they're poking down this turret really hard.
They realized that Weezhou had backed off, and suddenly they took that advantage and shredded the turrets. Bottom turret now gone down. Minions did it themselves on that bottom lane. It's 7-5 in turrets, and that gold gap gets ever shorter. Just 5,000 gold now. We were at about 8,000 at one point, and again, this is what we talked about. Do not rule CLG out. Once they get to that late stalled out game, they generally know what they're doing. This is in their territory right now, and Team WE are up against it.
And this is the team play. The most experienced teams seem to be better in team fights and the late game. We saw it earlier. WE has 2 new members, so a lot of times you can get your early game coordination because so much of that is laning and individual skill, and you can prep for the first 20 minutes of the game. But once it breaks down, once all the towers are there, once everyone's roaming around as 5, it really matters how much experience you have together. And CLG.EU, with the trip to Korea, with the gaming house, knowing each other since the game launched, playing together in Europe, they are showing how coordinated they can be because they have come back from a very big disadvantage, stalled extremely well, kept their cool, and they team fight like champions.
I think it's safe to say we're in the longest game of the tournament so far. 45 minutes gone in this one, 10-6 in kills, and the creep score of the opponents is definitely getting very high. 433 CS for Weezhou. Meanwhile, Yellow Pete on 335. That gold difference is 3k difference, but that's not such a big deal right now because those end builds are starting to come out. So while we're talking about it's a 3k gold difference, which in itself is big, if you look at the items, you can see he's got the Trinity Force, the Infinity Edge, the Guardian Angel, which is a big key thing and something we saw Oscar 5 obviously generally relying on. However, you look at Weezhou, if he can be allowed to do all the damage, he's got a hell of a lot of it. Bloodthirst, the Trinity Force, Last Whisper, Quicksilver Sash to escape, Aegis Legion to defend. He is very, very strong come a team fight.
And it's just a matter of the team fights aren't coming for him because CLG is unengageable in a lot of ways. This was potentially won a champion select if CLG.EU can take it down. Shen trying to sneak a split push on the inhibitor.
He's going to backdoor the
He's definitely going to try. This is their gambit because they know they can't get team fights. If they can somehow sandwich CLG between them, then maybe they can create something. He's actually having to fall back because at this point Wicked may have built enough damage that Shen can no longer duel him.
Yeah, he definitely has to back off, go for the lane. Well, the Baron buff will be wearing off shortly, but CLG have made use of it. They've taken one of the turrets, the inhibitor turret, down to absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, obviously, CLG's inhibitor turret on the bottom lane is gone. It is very, very close between these two. Baron's up in 30 seconds, which is why we're seeing CLG backing off. They are going to farm up, make sure they're fully prepared for this next Baron fight. And you can see Team WE have already backed off as well, so they're getting prepared for it. So the next fight, it's definitely going to be a game changer.
This is going to be the turning point really for both teams because previous Barons have been World Elite poking around and having the advantage while trying to split push, but this time it's now CLG.EU who has the upper hand. You don't see it in the gold, you don't see it in the kills, but you see it in the way the teams are playing. because all of the pressure and control is in the hands of Froggen's team. So here, they're poking down. The Shen split push is now forcing something. It's going to be a matter of CLG having to force something or send him back, because otherwise they're going to lose this backdoor inhibitor.
He's on the inhibitor. Shen is going to be working on it. We can see CLG going to push their own inhibitor. Shen's going to have to react. He's going to try and steal that inhibitor, then ultimate back. Here we go. There they go. The turning point comes in. CLG were well aware of that one. They managed to knock Clearlove back. Snoopy's in there, trying to look at all the action going on. Yellow Pete's going to get taken down very low. Messiah's going to get in there. Pops the ultimate across the inside. Seeing the crescendo comes across. The Dazoni's hourglass with Pop. CLG are dropping like flies on the back of this one. Team WA is definitely coming out on top. There's the Carthus ultimate though. Should be able to come back out. Doesn't pick up the kill. Messiah and Wicked in there, but Xiaomei comes back. Guardian Angel comes back. He takes down Crepo just the last round. Crepo manages to get the kill. Yellow Pete very low. Xiaomei should be able to get a taunt on him. He's got the help of his support. Ever the support is there, and it's a 3-on-4 exchange. CLG coming out top. More importantly, the AD carry alive, and they're gonna take that inhibitor down.
The first big play there by CLG.EU, pushing into the base. The fans chanting CLG behind us. Everyone's going to be rezzing after this. They can't go for a two-man Baron. The one inhib for the other. Xiaomei's trying to push back a bit. That inhibitor, still full health, could not get very started on it.
Could not get started on it, but Xiaomei definitely farming up like a pro, but yeah, he couldn't get involved in it. We're going to see a replay of the last fight. Jat, take us through that craziness.
This was a crazy extended fight. So much of this was WE.
Walk out, we need Vlad.
I'm going for Vlad this side.
I'm running on Vlad.
I'm going for Vlad. I have HQ.
That's it. We need Ezreal down to fighting. I can't kill this, I cannot kill this.
Keep for this.
He's down, yes!
Shen! Tarek!
Shen's there, Shen here.
Keep for top, Pete.
You need to hit him, you need to hit him.
Peach!
Nice! Yes! Get the inhib, you can last you.
You can see what it means to these teams. They are very much passionately involved in this game, and that was a pretty crazy fight.
There was so much going on. You could actually see the target calls coming out, potentially a bit confusing. They were calling Tarek when he wasn't even close to the battle. They were maybe not fully coordinated there, but they still came out on top. That was the first time WE actually initiated. They got the Shen taunt onto multiples, and that was the only brawl we've really seen in this entire 50-minute game. But because they came out on top of that, they managed to drop tank Reach Out. He's now abandoned the tank build, went for full Infinity Edge Glass Cannon, now much more damage. CLG trying to clear wards around the Baron area. They're scouting with that Ezreal ult, trying to help with the blue buff. And ooh, Messiah had to take that away. This is going to be really, really game deciding, the next big fight, because the death timers are huge. And if we don't see another crazy trade of 4 members alive on both sides, something will end.
A good chunk of damage going in towards Clearlove on Xiaomei's face there, as they walk straight headlong into that bush. The acceleration gate, bunch of shots there. Look at that. Wei Xiao's been lost a bit of health. He's going to be able to life steal that back, but CLG definitely poking down at Team WE. They have no vision of that Baron at all. No vision of what CLG are doing. So every attempt they try and make to try and squeeze those wards in there, there's only one ward available now to Team WE. They're almost out of wards. They're going to have to go blind into this fight. FZZ, you can see, he really wants to get that ward in, but he's so careful he doesn't get hooked out. That wall of pain, the acceleration gate, if every time they go close, they're getting a burst of damage in their face.
This is just CLG controlling here. They might catch out Clearlove here. They're going for it.
They're going for Clearlove. Has he got him? Yes, he does. Clearlove's going to get dropped down here. He's going to try and use the ultimate. He can't get away. It is not going to happen. Froggen picks up the kill off the back for this one. CLG now in a 4-man advantage. Going to turn it back to Baron. They're not going to drive it home, which is a wise choice. There's a huge creep wave on the bottom inhibitor turret right now for CLG. If you just look down there, look at that. That's going to work the damage. They're going to have to deal with it. Team WE have backed off this one. It's going to be a Baron for CLG.
A free Baron here, 52 minutes into the game. They're pulling ever closer to that gold, but the gold does not matter for CLG right now. People are at max item builds. They have the better late game team comp, and more importantly, they stick together. They have not been getting picked off. WE has been getting picked off. They're pushing down these turrets now. What is going to be able to stop them? Because they have been so patient. They have played together so incredibly well, and now they might be able to finish this one off.
We talk about that huge death time. It's still over 20 seconds on Clearlove. Clearlove is not going to be involved in this fight, and now you can see Wicked just drilling home. The difference of having Jace and Yellow Pete in there, they can just have a double AD attack. They are stacking out, and those inhibitors are just getting dropped like flies. Wei Zhao's got to be careful he doesn't get pulled up. They're just going to back away from this one, say job done. When two inhibitors are down, it is very, very hard to come back from. And CLG.EU realize they have a very strong position. Clearlove now back up, and CLG are going to just go, thank you very much, we'll go by.
At least for Froggen now, his item build is completely finished. He's going to go back to base and power up on elixirs. Now that they have two inhibitors finished, it's time to turn on the game-ending machine. They're going to take probably the bottom inhibitor next. When there's two waves of super minions pushing into a team's base, the third inhibitor is usually likely to follow as long as the team just groups up in that spot. Yellow Pete picks up a red buff. Xiaomei trying to hold off. These guys are nearly at max items, so that gold doesn't matter. The kills don't matter. What does matter is the team comp, the players, how they finish.
So as you hear, the inhibitor is going to be respawning in that mid lane. A couple of items. Guardian Angels, of course, starting to get picked up across the board. Definitely the late game items of choice. 500 plus CS for Xiaomei now. Wei Zhao, sorry. Xiaomei starting to farm up like a pro as well. And wow, such huge numbers, as you'd expect in a 54-minute game. CLG on the attack. Clearlove, again, has to be careful. He doesn't get caught out. That's going to be the speed buff used. Clearlove is going to get caught. He's going to have the shield. He's got a Guardian Angel. It is not going to matter. It's going to get popped back up in a moment, but he is going down from this one. There's no way, even with a flash, the Shen ultimate is going to get dropped down. Shen ultimate now waiting. That's going to be a laser point straight across. Messiah gets dropped. Wei Zhao, look at the damage. He is just getting choked down. CLG are going to take this game. We are going to see a third match in this best-of-3 series. Xiaomei going to respawn off the Guardian Angels. He's going to get dropped off the back of that one. They don't give a hell about him. Now, I had to adopt my words there, but he's going to get taken down. The Nexus turrets are being attacked. They're going to tank it up. CLG.EU are taking it to game 3.
And finally, at the end of it, they do come ahead on kills and on goals, so this is incredible.
The crowd are on their feet. The team are on their front feet. And CLG, you see what it means to them. The crowd are chanting their name, and that's got to feel good. After such a long delay, Jack, the mindset of both these sets of players is really going to be affected. After a 55-minute match there, 13-14 at the end. In fact, the goal advantage became CLG's just at the end of it. And Team the Ring, they've got to be careful they're not too deflated on the back of that.
You can see Froggen shouting in-game and outside of it. They are so charged right now. And when we saw this is honestly, even though it wasn't 70 minutes, very reminiscent of CLG's play at DreamHack against Moscow 5. Being down 8 or 9 kills and then just coming out on top. After they did that to Moscow 5, they'd won the tournament. Like you saw, Moscow 5 was dejected.